Today we're diving into a topic that every runner needs to consider. Is it really worth spending big bucks on expensive running gear, or can cheaper alternatives deliver effective performance? Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Whether you're new to running or you've been running for a few years, the right gear can make all the difference. But does that mean you have to break the bank? And what things should you consider when making decisions on fast fashion alternatives? Today, I'm putting budget-busting running gear to the test. On one side, there's the mix of high-end brands like Nike, Adidas and Brooks, and on the other, there's gear from TEMU. I've broken this down into running shoes, apparel, accessories, and the final section you do not want to miss, which is the elephant in the room, the hidden costs of budget busting and whether you really should consider it or not. Choosing running gear is so important. Whether it's to enhance comfort, performance, or prevent injury, getting it right really matters. But with all the marketing hype around top-tier brands, it's easy to wonder if the high price tags are justified, and it can be very off-putting to those new to running, which is often referred to as a free sport with little financial barriers. But that's where TEMU comes in. Their budget-friendly options offer products at a fraction of the cost of their higher-end counterparts. So I put them to the test to see if they're really worth it. Running shoes. These are the foundation of your running experience, and there's a lot at stake here. We've got TEMU's running trainer priced at a whopping £7.10, which goes up against a premium shoe from Brooks, which cost me around £125. I took both of these shoes out for a series of test runs, focusing on comfort, cushioning, and overall performance. The TEMU shoes, unsurprisingly, were a bit shocking. They offered some midfoot comfort and were lightweight, but gave virtually no cushioning. The lack of advanced materials and technology means that predictably they are no match in comfort and support for the Brooks shoes. Shock horror. It felt at times I was running barefoot, and even after a few kilometres I was starting to get some niggles around my Achilles, which I never get, so decided to stop. They were comfortable, but no surprise, they didn't offer any support. I think there are some use, perhaps in the garden or some weight sessions, maybe walking the dog, but definitely not running and any high impact activity for that matter. So even for new runners, I'd say avoid TEMU for running trainers. I've included a link for a company not affiliated with the channel, but one I have used in the past for discounted running gear, which does offer high-end alternatives, kind of like last season stock, and includes some recognisable brands like Hoka, which I can recommend and I have bought from. So this section was definitely a case of buy cheap, buy twice, but do hang around as I have some nifty penny pinching surprises coming up. Running apparel. Right, let's talk about running garments. Running clothes are all about breathability, moisture absorbing, and most importantly, comfort. I tried out 3 of TEMU's running shirts and a pair of shorts here as well, versus my go-to choices from New Balance and Under Armour. Let's kick off with TEMU's Tech Training shorts at £5.28. On the surface, the TEMU shorts feel cheaper as expected, but I was really impressed with the space in the zip pockets and depth for accessories, and the fit was decent and comfy too. I was quite sceptical before running in these because of the price, but to be honest, they are really comfortable. I've worn them on every run this week and to the gym, and even as a backup pair, so I'm not wearing out my more expensive Under Armour shorts. After a few washes, some of the printing has come off, but they get a thumbs up from me on price and comfort for the gym and for some of my shorter runs. For events, I'll probably go for something a little bit more lightweight and a little bit more comfortable, but they are a solid option for anyone wanting to save some pennies or are new to running. Moving on to the 3 t-shirts now. Now, straight off the bat, this blue one I was really disappointed with. The stitching was terrible, it didn't look anything like the picture, and the sizing was probably 2 sizes too small. So avoid, avoid, avoid. The singlet and black running tops were absolutely fine for the gym, and I've put the link in the description. A little bit heavier than the more expensive breathable materials from the bigger brands as expected. After a few runs, I noticed that the TEMU shirt doesn't soak up the moisture as effectively as my Nike and New Balance ones. It tended to get a bit heavy and a bit clingy when you sweat, which was a bit gross. The more established brands obviously feel lighter and more breathable for longer, intense runs. There's also a noticeable difference in the build quality. The stitching and materials on the TEMU ones are less robust and a bit rougher around the edges, so I'm not sure how they will stack up over a longer period of time. That said, I would use again for shorter runs and some strength training sessions too. And at just £2.50 each, they are fine for entry-level runners or as a cheap rotational exercise gear. Socks. Their running socks came in at 78p. Yes, 78p. They are decent enough for shorter runs and offer decent moisture control, though they're not as cushioned as my Under Armour ones. I definitely won't be using these for my longer ones for fear of blisters, but a good entry-level option. Their running caps come in at a whopping £1.40, and yeah, look, they look a bit cheap because they are, but it's lightweight and it did a good job of keeping the sun out of my eyes, which is what you want really. I mean, you can't go too far wrong on price, can you? Not the most attractive, but perfectly serviceable. So is TEMU worth it for running clothes? If you're looking for something basic and affordable, then they're not bad. But if you're after comfort and performance, especially for longer runs or races, investing in more premium gear might be worth the extra cost. Right, before I go through some more amazing savings, I wanted to remind you of another great saving you can access. I have recently teamed up with Huel, and for new UK accounts, you can save £10 at checkout using the code ROSTERRUNNER. I especially love their energy bars and powdered daily supplements at the moment, but go and check them out for yourself for all their other amazing products. Right, back to the video. Accessories. Okay, so let's get to accessories. These might seem minor, but they make a big difference in your overall running experience. Here, TEMU actually holds its own pretty well. If you're on a budget, accessories from TEMU could be a solid option. They might not have all the bells and whistles of the more expensive brands, but they get the job done without costing a fortune. I purchased one of their running belts for £2.20. As you can see, I got a decent amount of running gels and other items in there. My branded running belt cost me around £15, so this provides a very cheap alternative. I took it out on a couple of longer runs and there was no chafing around the waist and it was pretty comfortable, so I definitely recommend this as an alternative. I also picked up a 24-ounce foldable flask for 67p. My Salomon hydration flask was around a tenner on offer, so yes, it's a lot cheaper, but it didn't really stack up for repeated usage. It was a bit more difficult to clean and I found the material didn't compress as well into my vest pockets, so this one was a no from me. The hidden costs of budget gear. Now earlier I mentioned the elephant in the room that we all need to talk about, and it's something that's often overlooked when we discuss budget-friendly gear: the ethics behind it all. TEMU has been criticised for its fast fashion and reports of forced labour in its supply chain. These are obviously serious concerns that go beyond just saving money on running gear. When you buy cheap products, there's often a hidden cost, one that's paid by workers in unsafe conditions or by the environment. TEMU offers products at ridiculously low prices, partly because they cut costs in areas that can lead to ethical concerns like labour practices and environmental sustainability. They also have a minimum order spend, which obviously fuels the wider issues and demands of mass production items. But before you dismiss fast fashion alternatives completely, I urge you to investigate some of your celebrated running gear and how those brands stack up on some of these serious issues. Many established brands are starting to take more responsibility in these areas. Brands like Patagonia, Puma and Adidas are a few that have made commitments to using more sustainable materials and practices to aid recycling and climate change, as well as ensuring fairer working conditions. Whilst these efforts are often reflected in their higher prices, it's important to remember that not all big established brands are perfect, with many well-known expensive brands being in the news for questionable ethical decisions. So, while TEMU might save you money up front, it's important to weigh the ethical implications. Ask yourself, are you comfortable supporting a company with questionable practices? If that's important to you, it might mean saving up a little longer and investing in brands that align more with your values. Ultimately, the decision is yours. If ethics are a key factor in your purchasing decisions, it might be worth researching the brands you're buying from and considering the impact of your choices. Sometimes spending a bit more isn't just about getting better gear, it's about supporting better practices in the industry. So after testing everything and considering the ethics, here are my thoughts. TEMU offers some great value options, especially if you're new to running or on a tight budget. Some items can be great value, entry running gear. if you are just getting into running and you can't afford the initial huge investment. From a footwear perspective, I would absolutely avoid the ones I purchased, as foot care and injury avoidance is so important. Be mindful that sometimes buying cheap also means buying twice. But there's more to consider than just the price tag. When it comes to performance, comfort and durability, high-end gear from established brands often delivers more. And when you factor in the ethical considerations, those extra dollars or pounds might be buying you peace of mind knowing that your gear was made under fairer conditions. And for me, that's probably where I'm at right now. Have you bought running items from TEMU? Let me know what you thought of them. If you like this video and you want to watch more, then check out the videos on the screen now. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel. That way you'll keep up to date with my other running videos. Have you done some digging on your favourite brands' practices? What did you find out, and has it changed your buying habits? Let me know in the comments below. But until next time, happy running.